All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me through those technical difficulties. I appreciate it. Here with a celebration cake, and we've got lots to celebrate. Let's get started. Hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Oh no, something weird just came up on my computer, or on my phone. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize my phone was on that. I thought it was on my. Sorry, you guys are getting a really bad view of me right now, aren't you? Oh my goodness gracious, it's a morning. Thank you so much for sticking here. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm Stephanie. This is Deliberately Creative. We have a celebration cake, and we're just going to jump in because I just need to jump in. Let's go to let's see here. This is the reference for the cake right there. You notice it's got kind of a plain, just sort of glowy background, right? It's got gingerbread cookies. We can make decisions. We can say, I think that I want them to stay gingerbread just because it's a nice contrast. And gingerbread isn't just for Christmas, right? Thank you guys. Yay. Oh, I'm so glad you stuck with me. I am really excited for this. This is a perfect card or perfect painting image to do for cards for just about anything. I at the top of the chat there is a link for this drawing because now if you have the downloadable book, you've got it. It's in the downloadable Cozy Creative book, but for some reason it missed getting in to this. So I'm going to be uploading a new version of the book with the proper inside because it went from cinnamon roll to pamper yourself with bubbles and cookies and candlelight. So I needed to put that up on my website as a free download for anybody who wants to get to it. It's a celebration or time to celebrate. So yeah, gingerbread cookies I think is what I'm going to be doing. And thank you guys. Yay. You guys are awesome. I am looking at this though and thinking, I think I want to do kind of a warm, not warm, maybe soft blues for the background, kind of almost like it's sitting on the front porch on a table and you've got sort of the soft blue, maybe a touch of green here and there. Out of focus. Totally out of focus background. I like that. You thought I was waiting? Of course I was waiting for you, Linda. Thank you so much for being here. Now we've got the gang. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. I'm going to go around this and try and not put water inside the cake. Nobody wants a watery cake, right? And I'm just going to get that background nice and wet. We're going to do an out of focus, soft, blue, cloudy type of background. And I don't even mind if I get some of that blue down in here. I think it will just be tinting the table. Maybe this is a white table and it's just tinted slightly with the reflection of the sky and things around it. So this is still the Hanamola bamboo mixed media paper, and it's 265 grams Hanamola. It's 90% bamboo and 10% cotton. They are not sponsoring this video. I just happened to use that paper that whole day of drawing all of the images for this video, or for this series. My gosh, we only have 2 more paintings left in this series, and I will have done a painting for every picture in that book. If you are interested in the downloadable book, It's on my Teespring shop, and there's a little bar underneath of the video that has a little tray with a whole bunch of pictures of things on my Teespring store. So check that out if you want to download the whole book. If you want, or any of the other products, any of the other things that I have there. You're thinking about not getting watercolor pencils and instead getting some opaque watercolors? You saw someone review them and her work was beautiful. The brand was Angora. I've never heard of Angora, except for, a type of fiber used for making yarn. Fluffy Angora sweaters. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that color. It's kind of a cerulean blue. The background is really wet. I am just sort of giving it a kind of a halo. Putting the color in on top of the wet paint. That just gives us that lovely wet into wet, soft blurriness. Like I said, I'm gonna take it all the way down on the table. You could not draw that little line in and have it floating in the middle of the air in space. That'd be kind of fun. Sort of a surreal type of cake. Let's just celebrate. Oh, that's pretty. Bringing it right up close to the base, but keeping it a little bit soft up here. You didn't find it on my Amazon store? Oh, the white gouache. Well, I've been using the Arteza. You could use craft paint for just your highlights and things like that. I've been using the Arteza gouache, but you could get, there's the well, this one's black, but this is the Holbein. This is the acrylic gouache, but Holbein has a standard gouache also. Turner has both acrylic and standard. So and I think you can find those if you just click on my link to go to Amazon, then just put in a search for gouache. I get credit. I still get credit for you going to Amazon. So you don't have to actually find it in my store to get me credit. There's so many food reference pictures. You want to try painting? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the optic tracers. There's the Da Vinci Eye, which is one that I have on my phone and I have it on my phone and on my iPad. They contacted me and asked if I wanted to do a review of it on a video. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about playing with, is maybe we'll play with some of the tracer programs that we can put onto our phones during the month. I think that would be a lot of fun. And that's also a way that you can get houses really easily onto your card. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll work on my little houses and I will use the optical tracing program. Ooh, yeah. Brandy, thank you for that awesome idea. And look, we've got the background in. That's all I'm going to do to it. It's a soft, kind of cloudy blue background. And that was the, let's see here, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is the C30 on this 42 count watercolor pad. I'm going to dry this really quick. Do a review on the optic programs. Yeah, excellent. Thank you guys. That is going at, I think that will probably be, why don't we just plan on that being Wednesday? I'll do the Da Vinci Eye optic tracing program that you can get on an app that you can use on your phone or on your tablet. I just have to figure out how to hold up my tablet so that you can see and we can see the paper too. And there's a setup that you do with that. It's a You, and we'll go through the whole setup. We'll just do it like it's brand new, like you were doing it. They have a whole bunch of things, there's tutorials and all of that. But you know what? We're going to do just like a regular person does, right? We're going to say, I want to download that app and I want to try it. And maybe we'll pick something that's not too complicated to draw, but that's pretty, that's got a little bit more than just a couple circles and a square. They were showing using the DaVinci Eye program as a way to get portraits onto your paper. It's also a really cool thing if you want to do, say you want to take one of your kids' pieces of artwork. This is a good idea. You use that the DaVinci Eye optics type program to transfer your kids' artwork line by line onto a piece of watercolor paper that you can paint, or you can take their art and make it into something else, and it becomes a collaboration piece that you're doing with your kid. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I am going to zoom out just a smidge so we can see the whole thing. I want to just make sure my tape is still held down. And I do want to get a little bit of something going on down here. I think it's going to be a bit gray coming forward. Maybe I will try doing that same sky blue color. You've seen the commercials for the DaVinci Eye? Yeah. They've had commercials on YouTube for it. And I feel really bad because they actually asked me to do this like before Christmas. So going in and doing it now, isn't a bad thing. I took some of that blue that we used in the background. I'm trying to see if I want it to go kind of green on the table or if I want it to be more gray. So I'm going to take that same blue and I'm going to use the burnt umber and see what that sounds like. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool app. There's a lot of different ones out there. I'm thinking that there's too much yellow, maybe. Oh, that's more gray. Get more blue in it. Yeah, that's good. There we go. So I'm going to go like this and say there's that shadow that you see in the reference on the table. And that's the shadow from that cake stand. I guess it's not a plate, it's a stand. Oh, that just makes me happy to figure out what to do. I needed to get my thumbnails done up. That shadow needs to go up higher. I needed to get my thumbnails done up for next week. So we can do, let's play with the DaVinci Eye. I Spy the DaVinci Eye. Ooh, that might be a title, right? And then people will go, what on earth is she doing? And I'm going right now, what on earth am I doing? I'm just putting the shadow in. I'm going to soften it up on the outside edge of it too, but I just kind of wanted to get a general idea of where it is. A little bit darker. And I'm going to actually curve it in a little more. See? Make a decision and you can change it. Oh, Phyllis, you use it. Excellent. So you just use a tall drinking glass? Ooh. That sounds good. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to aim the camera up so that it's going to be effective for you guys. So that gives me something to play with this weekend. Because I want to make sure that I get the angles right so that you guys can see both what I'm drawing and and the iPad at the same time. And I'm just picking up that, it's sort of a cerulean blue with the burnt umber on this tabletop. And I'm just reworking my shadow. I want it to be a little bit more round. I think I have it, I think I have the sun at a slightly different angle. Just the way my eye is going. And part of it is because of the angle that I'm sitting at, you know, in comparison to the angle that that camera was at. Thank you. Is that the shadow or the table? It's a shadow on the table. First I was just putting in the shadow in, and then I think I'm going to put the table itself in the reference is like a white marble. So I might just take some like marble type shapes going through. I'm not sure, you know. This is since I got a little flustered with getting started this morning, and I'm also a little out of sorts, I think, because my mom's going in for some surgery today, and to have a long-term port put in, and you know, it's a 4 or 5 hour surgery, so I'm just a little bit out of sorts, but I'm hoping that doing this, playing, is going to just help out. And yeah. Yeah, from the reference, it could just be a round table. It could just be a round table, but I put that line in the background. I might go ahead and make this a round table, and then just make all the area around underneath here either really, really light or really, really dark. What's your guys' ideas? What do you think? Neat thing about doing this live is that all of my friends that are here live can actually give me some input. I am saying this is outside. I am saying that I feel like I'm on the wrong angle with that round. So I don't know. Maybe we'll put it on top of another pedestal. I can carve things out right now while I'm in this stage. We have the ability to change things up, right? I'm sort of thinking maybe this is like one of those cakes on the fancy buffet, and they have the little plinth that it stands on top of a stand. I think my problem is that I want to see the edge of the table. I don't want it to be kind of like where this is flat and the table is going away from us. Totally can be different. Thank you so much for the positive vibes, guys, on my mom's surgery today. I really appreciate that. I don't know if I was having trouble this morning getting started with the show getting started, because I was trying to I was delaying starting the show, but I didn't want to delay starting the show. I didn't want to flake out. Maybe this is just a little stand on top of the table. Or see, we can still, maybe it's just a big tablecloth all the way to the back. And we will put some some shadows and some, there. That's what we'll do. We're just going to make this into a big tablecloth. We're not going to make it harder than it has to be. So I'm just grabbing some more of that color, and I'm going to go like this. And I'm going to say there's kind of a little wrinkle in the tablecloth. It got pushed up a little bit. The kids were pushing on the table. They were trying to get to that cake and take one of the cookies. Ha ha ha. A little bit darker at the back edge. And if you want to just make this into a marble top tabletop, you can do that. If you want this traceable picture, it is available for free on my website at deliberately-creative.com. The link is in the chat, and my link for my website is down below in the where you can find me section. So, you know, last night I was like, quickly, I need to get a blog post up. And then I also, if you are subscribed to my blog or to my website, you got it in your email last night. I'm going to soften that up. I'm making up the shadow, so, you know, it may or may not work completely. I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to sort of blot out some highlights. It could just be sitting in some water. It could be a green marble table. Could be a green marble table. Could be hanging out in space. All kinds of things. Don't suppose you can get rid of the horizontal line and the blue could just extend to the bottom. You know, it could. And how I would do that would just go in with the like the gouache and wipe it out, or use a little acrylic gouache and take it to white. But I think I like this tablecloth. It's sort of a nondescript blue-green. I'm going to rotate this and just push that color back into the table area there. See? Just clean that up. See that tablecloth or green marble, whatever. It's a color, and it's a surface, and it's a place that I'll be able to have a darker shadow right underneath of the stand. There we go. Hey, if you enjoy these types of videos, guys, make sure and click that like button. If you haven't already, I would appreciate it. It does help. And if you like cake, click the like button. Let me know if you want to do more cakes, more treats. I'm open studio. It's going to be my open studio time the rest of the month after Tuesday. And so we're going to be doing DaVinci Eye app on Wednesday. So now I know what I need to make into my thumbnail. That's the only problem with the not knowing what I'm doing. I don't have things to put for thumbnails. So I'm wondering if people will even click in if it just says hang out in the studio. Would you click in if it just says hang out in the studio? Let me know. I'm just softening, or actually adding a little more color, and then I'm going to soften it up a little bit. It's just getting pushed around. Like I said, the kids were playing around the table. Mom's just bringing out the stuff. The plates and napkins haven't even gotten out here yet. Okay, that's just making me happier and happier. Sometimes you just have to work on things, guys. Just give it a little bit of time. Let it sort of start to grow on you. Now it looks like the paper is getting peeled up here. It's not. The fibers on the bamboo paper sort of release, and then when I dry it, they suck right back down. The base palette that I'm using here is this is the 42 Colors Superior Watercolor Palette. It's sold by several different companies on Amazon. Look for it. It's don't pay more than $15 or $16 for it. I have seen it for the 42 colors before, clear down to $12.99. So keep an eye out. It is linked on my art and watercolor tab on my Amazon store. You definitely would click in if it just said hang out in the studio. Excellent. Excellent. That's good to know. I know some people are able to do that, and they get hundreds, thousands of people coming to their videos to watch them hang out in the studio and do some art. And many people will go in, they'll do 1 or 2 hours of work on a piece. Maybe they're working on one big piece and doing real-time live streams, and then they're making a speed video with voiceover after they're all done. Oh, the palette, the thing that I've got my, this is Coroplast. It is corrugated plastic board, like corrugated cardboard, but it is Coroplast. It is linked in my arts materials page down below on Amazon, and it is available at pretty much any hardware store or any place that has sign making supplies for garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, or in the signboard area of any of the big art stores. So thank you, Phyllis, for asking for the clarification on that. Let's just zoom out. Let's see. You know what? I like it. I might actually take a little bit of gouache and lighten up that back edge, because I want the light coming onto the table there. So I think I'll do that. Because you know what? We can. I'm just going to put just a tiny dab. This is just the plain opaque watercolor type gouache. And this one is by Arteza, and it is it came in a 60-pack set of gouache. I think they do have some smaller sets of gouache available, but all the colors. It's kind of fun to have all the colors. But there we go. So I'm just going to zoom back in now, and I'm going to grab, there it is. So, okay, when I lose my paintbrush, guys, what happens is I'll set it down right here, and then I'll do other things here in front of me, and then I'm going, well, where's my paintbrush? Where'd it go? And then it's sitting over here. So if ever you hear me going like this, it's because I'm looking for my paintbrush. What can I say? I'm having an interesting day. Let's see if we can go that angle. I think that angle will be good. Oh yeah, I just reuse the board. I wash it off. I just stick it in the sink and wash it off. I'm taking just some of that gouache. My brush is pretty wet, and I'm putting it right into that green that was from the table. I'm going to take it right back here. I'm going to soften up that dark edge. I'm going to have the glow coming in on that tablecloth. The light's coming from behind the cake, so that edge of the table is actually supposed to be lighter anyway. And then I can bring my light in and work it down on top. And I can work some of the gouache in as some highlights. Maybe right here, there's a bit of a highlight. It kind of softens out right there. Your fingers are tools that you were born with that nobody can take away from you easily. Um, so use your fingers if you need to. The tablecloth got pushed up here. This edge kind of comes up and rolls over. I'm making this up as I'm coming along. Just sort of softening it up. Yeah, I do like this color. This green. It's like a seafoam, isn't it? It's like seafoam green. Right up against, I want kind of the brightest. I'm going to put it right up against the edge of that stand. Any shadow that's on this cloth and table is going forward, going this way. So, or coming from this side is where the shadows are. So I'm going to say there's a bit of a highlight up there. Ooh, bright highlight. Cool thing is this paint, the gouache, you can mix it with any watercolor and you will get that color of paint. And if you take that bright white gouache like that right onto the painting that you're already doing, it will pick up the paint that's underneath and it will tint it. So I came across random. Now, this is Stephanie being random. I came across some YouTube videos a couple days ago that I never knew that going along and, you know, picking up the tumbled glass, the sea glass, and things like that along the river estuaries where they come in from the ocean. I live near a river that goes all the way out to the ocean, and they call it mudlarking. Mudlarking, being sideways. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the top, so that it's not throwing you off so much. There we go. Yeah, it does look kind of like malachite, doesn't it? Oh, I see the different variations, the different the adjustments that we're getting. Yeah, it does. Oh wow, thank you for saying that. Where you live, you have a lot of sea glass? Yeah. So they do the mudlarking, which is basically beach combing, or which is, you know, what we call beach combing. I'm just working that water all the way back to the edge so I don't end up with a sharp edge. I'm going to say that one kind of curls that way. This could also be a way of making waves on the beach. I'm going to diffuse that out just a little bit more. I'm going to pick up some of that burnt umber and maybe a little bit of the Prussian blue. Make it a little bit more of a darker blue-gray. But I do want it to still lean towards that blue that we used in the sky. So I just put a bit of that in there. Ooh, that's pretty. So the darkest shadow is going to be here. See, I need to have a piece of malachite, like a reference in front of me. When I was doing my doodle gems, I did a whole year and a half of color pencil and ink doodle gems. So it was doing the Zen doodle type of doodling to make the jewelry, like the settings or the ring around, and then making different types of stones in the centers. We could do some of that again too. Oh, I am really liking the idea of this the random studio time. And also studio time where we get to, you know, work on projects. I want to work on some projects. All right, I actually really like this. I don't think I want to mess with that too much more. The Isle of Sheppey in Kent, England. Oh, so you do mudlarking then, Leslie? Do you do so? Do you call it mudlarking, or do you call it beachcombing where you are? I want to go to some of the islands in the UK. I've been on, the the greater Great Britain island, um, and I've been to Ireland. But I'd like to go out to some of the smaller islands, like maybe out into the. I know that they're colder, like out in the Outer Hebrides. Um, just looks beautiful and peaceful. I mean, not right now, of course, because none of us are really traveling much unless it's for, we have to for businessy things. But I don't, I am a stay at home in my studio artist. I don't have a studio. I have a studio that's separate from the house. It's actually a shed in the backyard. And as we head into the summer and spring and things like that, I might continue working on trying to get the internet to work in my backyard. Right now it doesn't. It's kind of driving me nuts because I really would like to go out there and hang out in the studio away from home. I can if I'm not doing anything internety, but sometimes you want to have some music playing on your Spotify. Oh, I like how this is turning into like a stone. We turned it into a green malachite marble. All right. That's good enough, isn't it? Yeah, Scotland, amazing. Oh yeah, the driftwood cottages. Ooh, maybe that's something I could do on my cottages and little houses for the for my book. See, I'm still working it out. It's like I've got a few drawings done in my sketchbook for it and on my iPad for it. But yeah, I'm working on a book of little houses and little places where people live. I think is so there's going to be there will be the a little vintage trailer just because I have a request from a dear friend who asked if there would be a vintage trailer in my little cottages. And there will be. Okay, so I need to just dry that and start working on the stand. And while I dry that, I'm going to take a sip of water. And if you have any questions, please leave questions in all caps in the chat. I love that this is such a international group of people. And I appreciate every single one of you coming in. The little cottages made of driftwood, though, that just sounds so, so sweet. I'm going to have to go and look up some pictures. But, yeah, I need a slurp of water, sorry. Well, the studio space that I'm using here, that I'm filming, is inside the house. It is a spare bedroom. We only have 2 bedrooms. We don't have a guest room. So actually, I'll take that back. I have a guest room, but it's the van. It's the bed in the van is my guest room because they have access to electric and water and a toilet. So it actually works really well as a guest room to have people go out into the van. At least I imagine it would if I ever have guests that need a space. I think I need a little bit darker shadow right out here. Kind of more in front. That's it. I think I took my shadow that's up there up a little high. Guess what? You can lift on this paper and you can move things around. Let's zoom in so you can really see what I'm doing there, because boy, you can't see what I'm doing there. So what I'm doing here is I am going right up against the edge of that stand, and I'm going to pull forward, pull that color forward, and try and keep it horizontal. Whoops. See, now I'm working. If you work it too much, you'll end up pulling your color so far that you don't have, whoops, need a little more Prussian blue in that. There we go. You'll work all the way back down to the white paper. We don't want that. But I just want this extra super dark right under the edge, and I don't want it to go back so far. There we go. I wonder if we're making it kind of malachite-y. Very lightly, just sort of putting a little bit of a, you can't hardly even see it, a little bit of a shadow line in the stone, letting it go up on the toe of the brush and then kind of push out into the belly of the brush a little bit. So you're getting some variation. Mostly it's just slightly colored water in my brush now. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't want it to get too sharp, too distinct. Kind of take that all the way across. Boom, there. Okay, I'm done fiddling with that bit. Oh, fairy gardens. You know, I know that there are a ton of videos out on fairy gardens. Fairy gardens, fairy doors, little worlds that people are creating. I just decided that it needed a line going across there. I don't know why. Just why? Why did I do that? It's okay. It's like maybe there's a little crack in the table. I can soften it up. Not a crack in the table, but a line in the... Okay, stop it, Stephanie. Now I'm just fiddling. Ah, thank you, Tatiana. I appreciate that. I appreciate seeing everybody's artwork going into the group and tagging me on Instagram. Wow, you guys are amazing. You know, I might put these little lessons out there, but boy, you guys are running with them. So now we're going to move up, and we're going to start working on the stand right here. This has a base color of yellow ochre. So that's where we're going to go. And I'm going to try and not have... Yeah, look up fairy houses on YouTube. Oh my goodness. I am going down here in that kind of green-gray color. I'm going to add more of my yellow ochre-y color. Whoops. I'm mixing it up, knowing that you can see exactly what I'm doing, right? And then I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt sienna into it. I don't really want it to have a green cast, but I want it to be a little bit darker. And I'm going to come down here, and knowing that the front of this stand is going to have my darkest tones, right? Just like that. And the, I'm going to put a little bit of that color up in the wood grain. My wood grain is not going to completely match the pencil line or pen lines. It's going to morph, it's going to evolve, but if you look, the grain kind of is starting here and it goes across. This is one slab of wood for that whole top. But you notice as I'm going back, the color is getting lighter and lighter in my brush. The pigment concentration is less, but it's still a bit wet. So it stains the paper a little bit with a bit of color. Now I'm going to come back down here and work the color out towards the edge. Look at that. We start working that shadow in. We're looking at this as lights and darks. I'm not worried about the lumps and bumps. I'm pretty much working it flat right now. I'm getting, this is a flat stripe. I didn't do my shadows for around the bumps. So I can just go straight down, boom, straight, and straight down. Just adding a bit more darkness. Because we can go in and, on this paper especially, we can go in and we can lighten things up a little bit, or we can darken things up a little bit. I'm just going to come back here and pick up a bit more of that darker tone. I'm going to put it right in under the cake and under the cookies and under the frosting. It's not super dark. The cake is an ivory cream color. It is considerably different than the stand. I'm not putting that circle on the stand. That might be a, that could be like a sheet of parchment paper or something like that that's on there. I'm not putting that on. I did put some balls of frosting going around the base. I'm saying it was pretty much decorated on this stand because, you know, I'm that mom. I will make a cake on a stand, but I'm going to decorate it on the stand. I don't have time for those cardboard discs and things like that. And I'm a last minute decorator anyway. So I will throw it, you know, put it on a plate, put the glob of frosting down, put the first layer down, start throwing the icing on. You would never be able, I would never make it past the first round on Sugar Rush or any of those baking type programs. Hey Bonnie, happy Friday. Kids done with school? Or are you taking a break? This is fun stuff. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, put on some music. If I shut my mouth, you actually have some music, some soft and calming music. But, you know, I am a chatty person. And the fact that I can chat and paint at the same time can be a superpower, right? Do I have superpowers, guys? Being able to chat and paint at the same time. I will tell you that if I'm not talking, I do paint a lot faster. So it's probably to your benefit that I'm... Oh, that's looking good. It's probably to your benefit that I am talking as I'm going along here. All right, I want to get more concentrated color. They're done for the week, and so are you. After this show, I'm not actually done for the week, but I can. I've got an activity book that's coming out that I am going to be pushing the publish button on today. That's for like Easter. I know it seems so weird. I'm talking about an Easter activity book, but I've got an Easter activity book coming out. See, and that's going to be other stuff that I'm going to be working on while I'm doing my open studio times. I'll be working on, I'll be working on books, working on, things that are going into books, the coloring books. I am so excited for the Little Cottages coloring book, though. They might be a little quirky. Maybe it'll be Quirky Cottages. But it will be a small book for the Cottages coloring book, I think. About the same size as this. The activity book is a standard, 8.5 by 11 size, and I'm probably going to do it both on Teespring as a downloadable book, just to try it out, see if people want to do that, because then, folks who are homeschooling would be able to download and print whatever pages they wanted. Because I was making little mazes. I mean, this is 4 to 8 years old, so it's not really something for the big kids. Although there are some coloring pages in it that could be made into really pretty paintings. Okay, I want to darken this. So I'm just taking that same color, going across, blending it out again. That's kind of how I work this wood grain stuff in, isn't it? I sort of give myself an idea that there's some grain. This was probably a chunk of oak. Like the 80s was really the time of those oak cutting boards, oak it's that oak color, I think is what it is, and it's that the oak and the maple I have an app on here that keeps trying to load while I'm doing things. It's like, no, go away. I have a Lazy Susan that basically looks like this wood that was given to us as a wedding gift, that it ended up as a painting spinner. Oh gosh, I am random today, aren't I? Hope you don't mind the randomness, guys. I love looking up and seeing you guys chatting. It just makes me so happy to know that folks are enjoying getting together, hanging out. All right. I'm going to come down here and maybe put a little bit of definition, like right under the edge of those rings, and down here in the front. But all I'm doing is putting it in that darker shadow area and following the curve. Just following the curve. And then right up there underneath of everything, it's going to be one of my darkest spots, I think. So I'm going to grab some more burnt umber and add that into that color just to darken that up. Don't really want any light right up there. How's my mom doing? She's going in for surgery today in about half an hour to have a procedure done. So I'm hoping that I'll be done with my video before she's done. Well, I will be done with my video before she's done with the surgery. They said it's going to be about a 4 to 5 hour surgery. She's having a port put in for a feeding tube. Not that she'll ever need it. They said she may never need to use it, but because of the radiation therapy to kill the cancer cells, it might make her throat really, really sore and make it really hard to eat. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm figuring out, because I did a little shape pattern thing on here. Like there's little carving down inside, going down the base. I'm just putting some stripes going along where the light is coming from the back going around, right? So this bump edge right there will have some shadow, but then the light is still spilling over. And I'm going to say the same thing right back here. Just little things here, guys. When I'm putting these little shadows on, I'm following the curve that I drew. This kind of painting really is coloring. We are coloring in. Yeah, ramble away. You know, that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm sort of, this is my de-stress. This really is the de-stress time. This is the just enjoying what's going on right now in this moment on my paper. I do love that background. It's very optimistic. This is a very optimistic painting, right? Very optimistic. Okay, I want to put a bit more of a dark shadow under the edge of the cake. Then we're going to put the put some icing on. There are some areas where on the image, on the reference, there's like some imperfections in it. So we might do a little bit of some splattering on the cake itself. So I will lay something down around it to keep the splatters from going in the sky. Your husband has challenged you to empty the pantry with only $10 a week? Grocery budget for a family of 4. Oh. So no, Darcy, she did, my mom did not have esophageal cancer. She had a small cancer that was, on the inside of her cheek. So it was like a lump that was starting to grow on the inside of her cheek. So they had to remove tissue and muscle, and then take a skin graft with muscle and artery and stuff to fill in the inside of her mouth on her cheek. And they're going to be doing radiation, and since it's through the cheek and that's right next to your throat gets sore. So that's what's going on there. You know, but we are optimistic that the procedures are all going to be successful. She will be having a small dose chemotherapy along with, but they said that they don't have to keep going with the chemo. It just makes the radiation work faster. But she's going to have 30 doses of radiation. So that's the update on me mom. And we are just kind of in a holding pattern right now since she's going in and having the tube inserted. But like I said, the doctor said she may never need it. Some people have a higher tolerance to pain or discomfort. And some people never get the sore throat. So we can hope and that's what's going to happen. So that she's not going to have any problems. Yeah, they can do amazing things. Casseroles, soups, casseroles, If you've got lots of frozen veggies in the freezer, frozen veggies make awesome stir fries or stews. If you've got a couple bags, if you've got bags of potatoes, because potatoes fill out your stew. Potatoes, carrots, things to have on hand. Potatoes, carrots, onions, chicken thighs, and then your regular pantry staples, if you've got brown sugar and soy sauce, vinegar, those types of things, you can make amazing, amazing meals. Hey Mark, did the mail person come already? You don't think so? I thought I heard them go by. I'm waiting for a package. One of my new books that I just had release, I bought a copy of it, and it's supposed to be here today. So I'm hoping that it's here today, because then I can show you guys my new book. Because I am that person. I am like that 5-year-old that looky what I did, guys. It was, I don't know if my coworkers when I was working at the school dreaded seeing me come by or were excited to see me come by when I had a new piece of artwork, because I was like, I'd walk around and say, look at what I did this weekend. And it could have just been the mail carrier. Or not the mail carrier, the garbage collector that I heard go by. So it could have just been them. But yeah, I am a stream of consciousness random talking here. I'm going to go like this and sort of soften up the back edge of that and blot. You want to open the packaging, you may. It's here! And it's something you guys might be interested in. I know that my husband is probably going to wrestle it out of my hands to start using it. Yeah, come on in. Push the door, it's gonna squeak. Oh, he's not, he's like doing that. I'm not gonna hand it to you. Why am I gonna hand that to you? Okay. We're gonna let that tray dry for a second. Let that, keeping track of my art stuff. It's one of the pieces of art that was done during the Cozy Creative Art month here. Look at that. So it is a nice big book. And it's a place to keep track of all of your... Oops, sorry about that. It's an inventory logbook, guys. Whoa. Stop wiggling. So it's an inventory logbook so that you can keep track of all your materials. There's some area to do some project ideas. You can write your page number down and the brand and the type of art supply. Then at the beginning of the book, you can go, oh, my golden paints are on page 1. And then you can flip to your page 1. Oh, that's table of contents still. You can flip in here, and so then you can say the date, what's the medium, the color, the quantity, the size, and any notes you have about it. So you can put anything in here. You can do paper, you can do paints, you can do pencils. So really cool. And there's room. There's 120. Oh, and at the back of the book, there's a whole section of just some dot grid pages so that you can write out project ideas. So it really is an inventory logbook and journal of sorts. So, and it's a perfect size for in the studio. If you guys want a smaller one that you can put into a backpack or take to the art store with you, let me know. But look at that. Isn't that cool? Oh, I'm excited. But yeah, so you've got, the date you bought it, the medium, is it oil, acrylic, paper, watercolor, your color or pigment information if you have it, how many you bought of it, what size it is, and any other notes. So I hope that you guys like that. And if you want me to, I can make some, just some big dot grid notebooks this size, because I notice I tend to do a lot of my books in this size, which is the half size book. See, you would get 2 of those for that. But this is a smaller size that's easier to put in your. Oh yeah, look at that. There's the line art for that piece. You think your supplies are gone too far, maybe to catalog? Oh no, because you just pick one thing that you're going to catalog. I'm going to catalog my watercolor palettes. Okay, maybe I've got 6 watercolor palettes, or maybe I've got 3 brands that I really like and I've got all the tubes. Just do those. And even tubes that are partially used, get them logged. That way you'll know, oh, I went through that color in a month. So you can figure it out. Anyhow, Mark is probably going to be going and getting all of our acrylic paints logged. And the spaces are big enough that you can actually write things in them. I don't like the ones that are so small that you can't write in. So anyhow, we're back. Stephanie being random. What can I say? Pardon me. Drink of water. All right, so now we are going to be painting the cake. We're going to put the icing on the cake, and then we're going to make the cookies. So, we're going to put the icing on the cake. You've got 45 brands of paint. Do one brand at a time. And just say, I'm going to do all of my Artist Loft 3 paints today. I only have, 12 tubes of that, so I can put all of those on there. And I can then flip the page and go to a different brand on a different page. So that way, I don't have to, when I go to my table of contents at the beginning, I can say, hey, I've got my golden starts on this page. My Holbein starts on that page. You think you have everything sorted and in one place, but you're not sure. Sometimes I find things in the most random places. Honest. I'm actually going to use yellow ochre and white gouache. Ooh, put it down here. Yellow ochre and white gouache to make the icing. Look at that. Isn't that almost exactly that color? That ivory. Ooh, I like it. I need more white to make more icing for the cake though. There we go. Pick up that yellow that was up there at the top. We are going to go in and just get a lovely coat of icing, and I'm going to go right over those little icing balls. This is sort of our middle tone, I think. We will go darker and we will go lighter. But this is sort of my middle tone. It is almost exactly that same color as the reference. Lucky me, huh? You're getting hungry again. Oh, I did make cinnamon buns last night. Little cinnamon rolls. I made just a small batch. It fit into a glass, like Pyrex type rectangle. that you would use for making individual casseroles or things like that. Um, and I cooked it for a minute and about almost 2 minutes in my microwave. I cooked it for about 2 minutes in the microwave, and they poofed up, and they set. Then I went and tossed them into the air fryer like I was talking about yesterday, and 10 minutes later, they were done. I did I did actually open it up at about about 6 minutes in, and I got a little spatula. Whoa, almost dropped that. Got a little spatula and picked them up and flipped them over in their little baking dish and put them back into the air fryer, because the air fryer tends to cook everything from the top down. And I wanted to make sure the bottoms got cooked too, really well. I mean, the dough was cooked, but I wanted it kind of hardened off like you get when it's in an actual oven baking. So it worked. It worked. I'm so, so happy it worked. And I got my, I saved, because I'm doing Weight Watchers, I have points for the day. And I had saved up enough points to be able to go in and have it and not have to worry about it. I even made a little tiny bit of a cream cheese frosting with light cream cheese and just a little bit of icing sugar and a drop of milk and vanilla. Embroidery threads. Oh, yeah. I've got like probably 300 spools of embroidery thread for my embroidery sewing machine. Oh, excellent, Debbie. Just relax. Just relax. Yeah. Oh, so Bonnie, yeah, 500 pages of coffee cycled paper, 100 white cardstock, 100 natural cardstock, 2 miles of assorted ribbons. Oh yeah, yeah. That's totally understandable. I am going to take this color and a bit of that darker tone. I'm taking just some of the white gouache and putting it into the darker tone. It's giving us a creamy, almost a creamy coffee color, isn't it? And I'm going to put some of that up around the little balls. The balls of frosting. Start getting some shape going on those. And by putting the dark around underneath, and then I'll go back in and put the light on the top. Remembering that the front of the cake is more shadowed than the back of the cake, so I can actually have more shadow coming up on these balls. Frosting balls. So, and if you want to learn how to draw this, guys, you can check out the marathon that was on December 31st. It's all been time-stamped. So you can go to the cake. You can go to the celebration cake. It's actually on the video number 2 is where the cake is, because it was like the second to last one drawn. This was like, 2:30 in the morning, guys. I think I did pretty darn well for 2:30 in the morning. What do you think? Working that superpower. Talking and drawing at the same time. Talking and drawing, talking and painting. This definitely is a really good time for just decompressing, de-stressing, letting your paintbrush sort of dance over. See, I can pull some of that color that was underneath forward, just on the very tops. We will be putting more of a shadow in, but it's just It's just the, you just have to keep working the colors in and building up your contrast as you go along. So I was thinking, well, maybe this is my darkest. It's not. That's not my darkest color. This is a middle tone color. And we will be pushing more shadow in as we go along. The icing is lighter in color than that base. Now this is still, oh no, it's not too wet. The paper is buckled. That does happen. And all you do is take a fine mist spritzer, spray water on the backside, and lay it underneath of something heavy for a few hours. I think we all have ways of justifying our art supply hoards. You know what? It's a collection. I am not a hoarder. I collect things. And several years ago, I go through phases where I will get all the supplies. I don't know if anybody else understands that. You see something, you get all the supplies. You do it for maybe a week, and then all the supplies get shoved into a cupboard, right? But then I am one of those people that years later I'll go, oh my gosh, I did that one thing for a few weeks. Where are those supplies? And I can go find them. And then I can play, and then I'll do it for a month or 2 months. And then I might shove the stuff back in the cupboard again. But then I'll go, ooh, I have that tool from that thing with all those supplies. I could do this new thing that people are all talking about because I have this old thing that's almost the same. What can I say? It's just one of those things. I am going to take more of the white now. So that's down here, but I'm zoomed in, so I'm not going to slide up and down. Just know I'm going down to the white with my brush that's still a little dirty. And I am going to start putting some highlights on the tops of these. I am probably going to take a smaller brush to just soften things up, blend them together. This is like making, painting opaque pearls. That's what this is like. These are like little pearls of frosting going around the top. So we've got these pearls of frosting on this. They are opaque. They are solid. They are, they are not see-through. On Monday, we're going to be doing bubbles, which is basically circles that look almost exactly the same, but we're going to make them, hopefully, sort of transparent looking. I'm looking forward to doing it just so that one can be done and out of the way. It ended up in the book looking a lot better than it did when I was drawing it. So I will be using a printout of the one that is in the book for the last piece, because I fixed the last one. I fixed this to make it a real base of a candlestick holder thing, and I cleaned up some of the lines so that it's going to feel a little bit better. But I'm so happy that I have where is it? I'm happy that I've got this one to be our real last picture, the apple tart on the pretty white plate with the blue flowers and the creamy colored apple with the red peel that's still on it on a whitewashed wood background. That one, I'm really excited about that one. The one with the bubbles and the cookie on the cup, I'm excited so that it can be done. Let's see. I don't need that highlight on these guys down here to be as bright as the top one. So I'm going to let that just get put in and then work it in a little bit. It will be brighter than the bottom of the balls, the pearls of frosting. Oh, the collecting of stuff? Yep. Sue, I have an unopened set of resin, and my art resin I think is starting to yellow in its containers. They say that even though it's yellowed in the container, if you're using it, it will the concentration of it is so thin that you can still use the resin and it will still be crystal clear. And it won't yellow prematurely on your artwork. That's what they say. I don't know. Resin is one of those things. I like it. I like resin. I just put out more white and I didn't want white. I wanted to go really dark to get those little frosting balls. Does it go bad if it's never opened? Yeah, like I was saying, it can yellow in the containers, but it's not. They say that it will, you're pouring it so thinly, and if you're adding paint to it anyway, it's still going to set up. That's what I was trying to get at. It's still going to set up. It's still going to. Ah, yeah, that's good. I needed a little definition between those guys. And this is the darkest shadow because it's being blocked by those little opaque pearls of frosting. Yeah, so the hardener and the resin itself does not go bad. It will still work. It will still go hard. Some types of resin, it will yellow over time and it will transfer that yellowness. So then it all depends on how you're using that resin. If you're doing something where you want to have an antique quality to it, a slightly yellow doesn't hurt it. But when you're doing painting, the yellowing can be a challenge. So I'm just putting a shadow line under those little pearls of frosting. See how that's starting to make them stand up? Might put a little bit of some shadow where some of these are overlapping each other. Like that. This is very relaxing. It is very meditative. It's something that I could, if I was doing this and not talking, just letting the music play, that would be a very joyful and calming process. Just decide which one's on top, which one's behind. Put a shadow where it's overlapping, or very fine shadow, like right where they're touching. This would be so pretty done in pinks. The whole thing done in pink and white for like a Valentine with heart cookies. or you can make your shape of cookies any shape you want. You can put your little designs on here any shape. They don't have to be pearls. I'm giving you a set of tools here that you can use any way you want. See how I'm sort of working that color up just a little bit on that underside of those balls, so that way it feels like they're sitting on top and they're round. Yeah, Tatiana, definitely. So the ones that I've got are the 50-50 ratio resins. So those ones have a much longer shelf life. But yeah, if it's something where you take, 80% of the resin and 2% of, or 20% of the catalyst that goes into it, and the chemical action happens, those ones, those, I think the catalyst wears out before the, in the shelf life. Just going to go in and get some darker shadow underneath. I have this mixed with a little bit of gouache, just so that the frosting feels different than the wood. I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat. Drink of water, maybe? Ooh, silver clay. That was something that I always thought about, but it was always too expensive. For a while there, I went to town carving rubber stamps. I still have all of my carving materials. I made buckets of carved stamps. I gave them all to the school. Dee Dee, you just got in from 2 hours of snow shoveling? Oh my goodness gracious. Get yourself a hot cup of something, some warm, dry socks, and a nice warm blanket. Settle in and just pamper yourself for a while there, kid. See, when we have snow, we don't have a sidewalk in front of our house. Like on the street side, our street is one of the older ones that we have a parking strip in front of our house, not a sidewalk. And the parking strip in front of the house is actually lawn, so it's not where the general public doesn't walk or anything on, and it's grass, so we don't have to worry about shoveling here at our house, except for shoveling off the front steps and the little walk that comes from the gate to the front doors. That's 8 feet long. So we don't have much in the way of stuff that has to be shoveled. We also don't get snow heavy enough that needs to be shoveled. Very rare. I think it was 2011 or 12, I think, was the last time we had snow that needed to be shoveled. And that was because it actually snowed so much that we lost our bottom step in the snow. All right, I am really liking that. I think I'm going to take a little bit of this drier white and right around this outside edge. I'm going to sort of texture the cake a little bit, just ever so slightly, getting a soft glow, coming around that edge. It is enough different still that you don't see that you still see the difference between the cake and the background. Thank you. This is looking really good. I think it is too. And remember, I tell you this almost every single time. If you think something on your picture is looking awesome, tell yourself. Don't just go, well, this could be better or that could be better. If you see something on there that's like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, tell yourself that it's cool. Your brain hears it as an actual compliment. And since we're not in a position to be able to easily put our artwork in front of other people to get those in-person compliments, we need to give ourselves compliments. They actually have proven that people who are proud of themselves or proud of a specific thing they've done and tell themselves out loud, they actually can repeat it more often. It's like I said, it's like clicker training. It's like how they train dolphins. You know, it's how they train horses. How you train a dog. How you can train kids. You praise the thing you like. And it marks a spot in the brain that says, ooh, this thing is something that is liked. I'm thinking that this is probably a spice cake. And this might even be like a light peanut butter frosting. That's because the cake in my family, everybody's got the cake, right? The cake that is your family's cake. Well, the cake in my family is a spice cake with peanut butter icing and peanut butter filling. Luckily, up until just a few years ago, my son can't do peanut butter anymore. So I can't do the spice cake peanut butter for him anymore. I can still do spice cake. But my dad's most favorite cake in the whole wide world is a spice cake with peanut butter frosting. And so I'm saying, since my dad's birthday just happened not too long ago, maybe this is his birthday cake. This would make an awesome birthday cake card. And I know I've got some, I think, Debbie, was it you that said that you've got a whole bunch of birthdays in March coming up? I'm putting a little bit of that on there, kind of to be the shadow from the cookie. And I'm going to just give it a quick dab. So it's a subtle shadow. Shadow. Wow. We are not going to the chateau. It is the shadow. Again, Stephanie is being random today. I'm going to say that shadow goes all the way up to the pearl. There we go. Gingerbread spice cake. Yum, yum. Yeah, if you make yourself a tent out of, truthfully, you don't want anything that can drop dust. So cheesecloth really isn't a good thing to use as a tent over your resin. Things that make good tents over resin generally are plastic tablecloths. How do you make peanut butter frosting? The way I make peanut butter frosting is I take a regular buttercream icing, buttercream frosting recipe. So however much butter that recipe calls for. So if you're doing a you know, it would be a cup of butter and 4 cups of sugar, icing sugar. I would take half a cup of butter and half a cup of peanut butter to make the icing that goes on the outside. And for the filling, I would take that icing and add just a couple more spoons of peanut butter to it to make it really peanut buttery filling. That's how I do it. And then you would use a little bit of milk and vanilla. This is looking really good. I think I do want some of those slightly, I want a little bit of the speckling on that frosting. Maybe some of the cake, so maybe some of the cake, my brain is going dead. Some of the cake crumbs. There we go. Some of the cake crumbs. So I'm just grabbing a couple paper towels here. And I'm going to see if I've got it wet enough to give myself a few little speckles. There we go. That's all. A few little speckles in that. Oh yeah, it's super easy. And if you want to make it almond, you can use almond butter. Just as a quick tip, you can make it almond with almond butter. Anything that uses a nut butter, you can pretty much change the taste with any different nut butter. So if you like cashew, go for the cashew butter. And that, I think all of those would taste good with a spice cake. Gee. Stephanie's watercolor painting show and recipes and cooking show. Watercolor painting and cooking show. You never know when you're going to get a recipe for something, huh? Dee Dee, that's a good way to make it too. That is a good way to make it too. All right. Let's zoom out. Because you know what? I got to zoom out. I got to take a look. That's looking really good. Okay, cookies. We're going to get those gingerbread cookies in. And the gingerbread is really mostly the... Come on, focus. There you go. I'm going to go in basically with the burnt sienna. Get it really juicy here. Burnt sienna. I don't want to put any blue in it. I don't want my cookies to go green. So if I'm going to darken it up, I will use the burnt umber to darken it. Right now this is just straight burnt sienna. There might end up being a bit of gouache in it. Maybe not. All depends on how dark it feels. I will be using gouache to make the icing decorations. So I'm going to cover the whole cookie and not worry about keeping the areas of cookie clear for the frosting. So I'm going to just put the decoration on with white gouache. That burnt sienna is just a lovely gingerbread color, isn't it? I am painting it kind of thickly. And when you paint kind of thickly, this paint does go, it can be more opaque. So I'm just going to go and paint all these cookies on. There we go. Nutella. Ooh. Rum spice. Definite. Oh, wow. Yum. We've got, you know, all kinds of flavor combinations. But if I have a favorite cake, my favorite cake is a spice cake. And that's any kind of spice cake. So a ginger spice cake, a cinnamon spice cake, chocolate spice cake, the old Betty Crocker super moist cake mix spice cake with extra cinnamon added. Yeah. Um, Although lately, for convenience and quickness of cooking, I've actually been making more of the Victoria sponge. Might have to try making a spice sponge type cake. You know, it'd be a sandwich slice type cake, which is basically you can either take 2 layers and stack them and have a really thick slice thick cake, or you can take one round cake pan and bake a single layer and slice it, open it up, spread it with jam and some buttercream. That yum. Um, and I'm on a diet. Well, actually, no, I am not on a diet. I am on a journey into healthier eating. I know what I'm supposed to eat and how much I should eat. I'm journaling it, I'm tracking to make sure that I eat enough of good stuff. But boy, it's a journey. So this is kind of like a vlog and um and painting studio session, isn't it? Maybe that's how I'll have to start labeling them. Maybe people will want to come in and hang out because I'm vlogging, and I never thought that I would be a vlogger. But right now, this feels very vloggy. Yeah, Dee Dee, the downsizing of the Nutella jars is the same as the downsizing of the ice cream containers. They've kept the ice cream the same price, haven't they? But they are, you know, only a quart and a half instead of half gallons. Most companies. There might be a couple companies out there still that are doing a full half gallon, but generally they are charging the same amount and selling you a whole lot less. There we go. See, isn't that just gingerbread already? Lovely gingerbread brown. I love burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is one of my favorite colors because you can get it to go really, really light, or you can get it to go really, really dark and get that contrast. I'm just sort of lifting some of the color that's up there on the top one. Maybe bringing a little bit of that down here. Maybe putting some of that shadow in underneath of where that icing is going to go. Just so that the icing looks like it's standing up. And then we're going to dry this and go in and put the darkest shadows and then the highlights with the actual frosting. Let's zoom out. I'm having a having a moment. I want to zoom out so I can see better because I'm going, that up there looks a little bit too dark. Stepping away gives you the option to see what you're doing. Because I'm looking at that going, I want to lighten up the inside of that one just a smidge. That's already got a lot of dark. I don't think we're going to need to take any more dark on that top cookie. The top cookie. I'm going to take a little bit of this darker tone. There might be a little bit of some random highlighty bits that show up on these cookies, just because there might be some light dancing around. You can still see them, so that means there is light on this side. It's not in a total darkness, is it? My tummy is starting to grumble. You'll eat cake or cookie, but cookies are your preferred? Oh, you worked at Mrs. Fields? Oh, that would be a dangerous place. I worked at a shopping mall for the actual shopping mall in their my brain just went dead. In security. I was a dispatcher for the security, and I was also the help center. So when people, lost kids or whatever, they'd call and say, "Hey, can you page on the intercom system for this person?" And of course you would get the crank caller ones where they'd ask you to say some type of a name that could end up sounding very inappropriate if you did not enunciate. So I always enunciate. I'm looking at that going, I want a little more contrast right up there in those cornery bits. This is looking so sweet. So anyway, yeah, the mall and the cookies definitely were on my path. You find you get certain paths, right? You create your path wherever you are. Your grocery store is on your path. Very rare do you go across town to go to a grocery store. You go to the grocery store that's nearest you, or the one that you want to, the grocery store that you want to patron, that you want to go to. There we go. Because I want to lighten that one up a little. It's got a little bit of light coming around the edge. But you tend to go to things that are on your path, within like a certain distance off of your main destination. So you might go to some place that's a mile off of your path, but you won't go someplace that's 3 miles off your path unless it is the only place that you can get whatever it is you're going for. Wow, that's random. Sorry, I really am having that kind of a randomy day. I'm putting a little bit of this white on the top edge of this cookie here because I'm saying the light is coming around that edge. You need to zoom in again, Steph. I live in a tiny house, guys. My house is about 700 square feet. We raised our son here. But it's a tiny house. It's 1 bedroom. It's 2 bedrooms, but it's, our bedroom and the studio space. The living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and a laundry room. And it only has 1 bathroom. So, just putting putting that icing on there. I'm letting it pick up some of the color, so that way that brown tone, I'm letting it pick up some of the brown tone, so that way I can go in on top of it and give it a really nice bright white. And I'm going to put that center dot. I like that little center dot. And it's going to be more of a full round dot. I'm not worrying about getting my white dirty right now because, again, we're going in and getting the frosting on. I wish the frosting would go on painting as easily as it does with a decorating tube. Squeeze that line out and it's just perfect, right? But with a brush, you have to be a little bit more considered, a little more careful. I am using a big brush and just the tiny tip on that big brush. Pizza from scratch. That's pretty much the only way I make, the only way I get pizza right now. But pizza from scratch, that's another one, Bonnie, that you can do as as part of your challenge stuff. Do you do the biscuit dough crust? Because that's another one it's quick. You can do the biscuit dough type pizza crust, so you don't have to worry about the yeast. Although I don't worry about yeast baking. It's just that yeast baking tends to take more time. And I did all of these stars freehand. And if you wanted to see, if you've come in new, guys, if you've never seen me before, I'm Stephanie. This is Deliberately Creative, and we're finishing up our 30 pieces of cozy artwork. We have two more paintings to come. We've got a pampering yourself with like a hot cup of cocoa with a cookie on top and bubble bath and a candle. That's on Monday. And then we've got a really pretty kind of French apple tart for our very last one. They all make really pretty cards. I'm making mine into book covers for different things. So I've got my reading log book that was the very first picture that we did. I've got my art materials log book that I just showed off because it was like I knew I heard the mail carrier come by. And I prized it out of Mark's fingers. So that's going to be fun. I'm just kind of going back and adding more white onto those little icing stripes. Now, if you don't want to do the icing stripes with gouache, you could go in with a white pen, a Posca paint pen, or the Uniball Signo white gel pen. I kind of like going back over things like this. You start building up layers of color, and it starts to get that texture going. Yes, the art supplies book is in my Amazon shop. It is on my book page. So if you look on the book page, it has all of my books. So I've got little dot journals. Let's see. Oh, they're farther behind me here. Just a second. Oh, that's not a dot journal. This one is. There. So I've got little, I've got these guys. They're dot journals, which is just, these are the cream colored paper, and they're just pages of dot. So they work really well for like that bullet journaling thing that people do. Or I like them because they're great for doing shapes or patterns. And you can work out, you can work out knitting designs. You can work out any kind of designs on them. But yeah, all of my books are listed on my Amazon store. So have fun. Take a look. And it's all art that I've been doing. Oh, that is looking so, so sweet. Yeah, see, I needed to step away just a little bit. I needed to zoom out so I could see what we're looking at. This would be just such a pretty card to do for someone, wouldn't it? Oh, how about a a little birthday journal, or a birthday keeper. So you've got all of the months and places to put people's birthdays, name and birthday, and then this is the cover. That would be fun. Oh, bullet journaling is basically the process of taking the dot grid type pages and figuring out the way you want to keep track of your days, or keep track of your months or weeks. So it is it's a whole process, but it can be, once you get going on it, you can have like trackers in it that you create. I'm tracking all of the water that I'm drinking, and so I've got all of the little hearts for every day of that month that I want to track my water. Or you can track what your mood is like, or you can all kinds of things. Or you can just track your grocery lists. It's all good. I'm going to take some of the pure white now, away from any other color. Yeah, and it is it's another one of those things you can find a ton of videos. People will, they'll have videos on, hey, come and watch me set up my tracker for the month. Watch me set up my bullet journal for the month. It's another one of those things that people like to do, that aspire to do, but may not ever do, but they watch other people do. So how's that for... I just loaded my brush up with fairly wet... Actually, I think I need to suck some of the water out of my brush. So to suck the water out, I'm taking the belly of the brush and pushing it, and I sucked out some of that water. So now the paper towel is a little damp there. My brush is not as wet. So I can go back and just touch, twirl, and get the tip is nice and round again. This is the number 12. And I've done the whole painting with it, even the tiny lines. So up to you how you want to do this. I'm just putting some little highlights. See how tiny of a line I can get with this. It's just tiny little lines. See? And that extra little highlight goes in a few spots, only to really bring out the three-dimensional. I'm going to take some darker paint back into that dot in the center. It makes it feel even more 3D-ish. And even though this is on the shadowy side of the cake, I am still putting some highlight on these. But if you're not comfortable using the tip of a brush, you, like I said, certainly go and grab your white gel pens. You can tell that I'm like getting more and more drilled in. I'm putting a little bit of that bright white right on the very top. Of those pearls. Even a softer version of it down here. Make them stand out just a little bit more. So I hope you don't mind that I have kidnapped you into this long show. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you being here. Click that like button if you are enjoying this. It really helps me to know what content you guys like. You write miscellaneous stuff in notebooks. Perhaps that is journaling. You are. Yeah, budgets, listing things. It's all the stuff that you do. And you know what? It counts if you put it in your book. That's, you really don't have to do all of the fancy stuff. See, what it is people like the dot journals, the dot books, because it gives you a place like lines without it being, just straight lines going across the page. So you have the ability to like connect the dots and draw little boxes around things, making things look consistent and consistent and clean, I guess. I'm putting a little bit of a dot on the edge of these cookies. Just a few little dots. It just makes the cookies feel like maybe there was some icing sugar, little sprinkles of icing sugar that got on them, or maybe there's a little bit of a shine. There we go. Pick up, now I'm getting my white dirty. And I'm going to shadow in the bottom half of that little dot. And then clean my brush. Ah, Sue, this is the kind of treats though that we don't have to worry about the weight going to our hips. Because these treats don't have any calories. We binge on the painting. So we don't binge in real life, right? I'm just putting a little bit more dark right there. All right, let's find a pen. I'm going to sign it right here next to the base. Okay, and now we are going to zoom out. Oh, this is so pretty. And we're going to pull that tape off. And there we go, taking that tape off. Oh, gosh. So, if you are having fun watching these videos and you're interested in painting along, I do have the book of 30 Cozy Creative Designs. It is available as a download. Check the little slider tray below the video for my Teespring shop, and this book is sitting there. It is download, print, and color. or paint or use it as a reference for your artwork. I hope that you guys have a great day, that you had fun doing this. Yes, that really does look like a real cake there. Wow. I love it. I hope you guys do too. Remember, go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. I want to see you back here again on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, unless I end up having to change the time because of my dad and mom. So keep an eye out on the time, but right now it's scheduled 11 a.m. Pacific time on Monday. I'll see you there.